Welcome back. Today we're going to play with a HR employee data set, and we're going to look at one of those step challenges people do. They either do a Fitbit, Garmin, Apple, or some other company we never heard of, and they calculate these step things. And a lot of organizations might want to actually compare steps. They run challenges between roles or countries or departments and things like that. So we're going to play with the data. I thought this was a good chance to build a butterfly chart and do a custom calculation. So right here, you see I did a step contest for US versus the rest of the world, and then one for France. And we're going to go ahead and build one, say, for China versus US. This is a global organization. And to do this, we need to, well, let's create another sheet. Click the Sheet tab, and it creates another sheet. Then we're going to go over here, and we'll click this downward pointing arrow, and click Create Calculated Field. Now, before I name it, I'm going to paste the formula in to save us time. It goes if geo, because geo says where it is, and I know that the data set has China in it, so I'm just going to type China. Then put the sensor step count there, and I'm going to enable this field China. And you see the calculation is valid. It simply says if this equals that, and you see it's in quotes, then what? And I drag the field number over called step count. And it's right from the sensor step count thing here. And you can see I just had dragged it over, and it's in brackets, and you see a value, you say OK. So now we have China. So we build a butterfly chart if we drag China up here. Then we do a zero member, which is zero axis, and we go edit, and you said zero, because this calculation is valid. We put the zero up there. And then we can compare it to US, which is going to say the same thing as the China instance, except it's going to say, instead of if geo is China, is if geo is US. Now I have my thing built up, and I'm pretty good. Let's go ahead and let's drop roles in, because that's what we're going to probably compare to. We could do women versus men and that kind of thing. But let's go ahead and drop role in, and now we have the roles pop up here. But really I want this stuff on the zero axis. If I click zero axis here, then you drop the roles onto the labels of the zero axis. It comes up here, and I right click, mark type. Instead of bar, I'm going to make it text. Like that. And then zero axis, I want to edit the axis and get rid of the word zero axis. We don't need to see that. In that regard, no tick marks necessary. That's good. On roll here, maybe what we'll do is show header. We move that. That way it's only in the center there. On this axis, we have China. Let's change this sum of China to average, because you never know how many people it is. Keep things on a relative basis. Let's also edit the axis, and let's get rid of average. Nothing average about China. Nothing average about the US either, which we'll also have to turn to averages in that regard. And let's reverse it, because the butterfly chart, so it goes the other way. We go like that. In the US, we have to do the same thing. Take the averages, measure, average, and get rid of the average word here. And you can play with these things. You can add formatting and all kinds of things to it. I'm going to move this to the entire view to make the butterfly jump out on that regard. Yeah, it's pretty good. And you could always format things. It comes up here to headers, and you can do all kinds of things, and zero things out, so no lines of any kind, and that kind of remarks. So we're able to get rid of all those. It makes it a little cleaner. Format. You can add, maybe make it a little bit bigger. Oh yeah, so we're covering the axis there. You can see it. You can just, maybe not so big with that axis. That's not really working so well. Let's go back. It's good. And we got those things going on. So it looks pretty good. I'm kind of happy with it. Oh yeah, the sheet name. So we're going to say this is China versus US. And then over here in the sheet, edit title. Let's center the title. Maybe we take the sheet name. It's already a sheet name. Make it bold. Apply. And we got China versus US. We got title. Border. Let's put a border around there. That way it looks a little prettier. I wonder if we can. That work? Yeah, it makes it look nice. Shading? Yeah, we can do a little shading. A little gray maybe. See if we can get this good. It didn't really work the way I wanted it to, but it's alright. There we go. Title shading. So now I got China versus US. It's shaded. It's in the middle. I got a color at the bottom line. I can continue formatting all day long, but I thought that was a good example of how to build system calculations, which most importantly, drop down arrow, and to build a butterfly chart in Tableau to call out, just say, the US versus China. You can show labels. You can do all kinds of things. So don't be afraid to do that. You can hit the Command key. You can do average China. Command key to label, and that's label. And then come over here to the US. Command key. Label to US. Now we can bring over the labels. Of course, you can format those with columns and everything. You can sort things. But let's leave that. Let's call it a day. I think this is a good example of how to build a custom calculation and a butterfly chart.